You're listening to The Ride to Work with Pastor Fred. Fuel for your faith before you clock in. Enjoy the ride.
Hello, and thanks again for joining us for The Ride to Work. It is Tuesday. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Norbit, but he's so excited about, I guess, going on a date, and he's talking about Tuesday. If you ever seen the movie, just haven't seen the movie, should I say, just watch it and you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's move forward. Listen, but I thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're dealing with this week. Like I said, we're walking heavy. I mean, and our series topic is you keep praying for change, but you keep protecting the habit. You're praying for change, but you keep protecting the habit. And this morning's episode it doesn't get any lighter, folk. I just wanted to let you know that. We're talking about the comfort trap. The comfort trap. And we're just going to dive right in and let's get to it. I mean, our character reference is basically the children of Israel when they were in wilderness, and it's found in Exodus, around the 16th chapter of Exodus. But we're just dealing with something this morning, that's very honest. You see, a lot of people, they're not stuck because they don't want change, because this is what we're talking about. You're praying for change, but you keep protecting the habit. But they're stuck because change feels like loss. That's what we want to talk about in the comfort trap. Why does change feel like I'm losing? You see, because you have to realize something. Some of what feels like loss is actually deliverance in disguise. Comfort it can become a trap to you. You have to be made uncomfortable. And this is what we're dealing with and talking about this morning. Very first thing out the box is, look, comfort can become a prison for you. It can become a prison. And here's why I say that. Because familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. It does. Israel, they were in the wilderness. Think about it. And it says something revealing. You got to understand. Listen, they missed Egypt. Think about that. They missed Egypt. They're in the wilderness. They've been free from captivity, but they missed Egypt. And it's not because Egypt was good. It's just because it was familiar. It was familiar. Remember, I told you, familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. They were free, but freedom wasn't familiar to them. They missed what was familiar to them. Please hear me when I say it. And that's what comfort does. It makes bondage feel normal. It does. It makes dysfunction, I can manage it. I can handle it. Yeah, it's dysfunctional, but I can manage. Think about what I'm saying this morning. You're limited, but you feel safe. You don't have that freedom, that openness, but you feel safe. Because that's what comfort does. And the danger in that, look, you can adapt to what God is trying to deliver you from. And that's a problem. Because you're asking God to deliver you, but you've adapted to it. You formulate and fixate your mind, your lifestyle, your everything concerning you around what the very thing that you're asking God to deliver you from. A lot of people, they ain't praying for freedom. They ain't praying for freedom. They're just praying for relief inside captivity. You just want being captive to feel better. I want to feel better imprisoned. I'm in prison. I don't mind being in prison, but God, just make it better while I am imprisoned. In my mind, in my feelings, in my heart, in my emotions, in my lifestyle. Make that part better. You can I can stay trapped, but just make it feel better for me. Think about what you're asking. Huh? Those are two different prayers. That's two different prayers. But you're comfortable. You get comfortable in that. You adapt to it. And comfort reduces the urgency for change. It reduces that. It diminishes that slowly. Because you become you're used to those familiar cycles. That's what's going on. And when you become those cycles, they get familiar, and you're used to those familiar cycles. What happens is it makes dysfunction seem normal to you. That's what it does. It makes dysfunction seem normal to you. Emotionally, you're secure in it. Man, I know I'm talking to somebody this morning. Huh? You're secure in it emotionally. And what that does, it just overrides every spiritual direction that you're trying to ask God to take you in. It overrides all of that. It's like a maximum override. Because you feel security emotionally, even though it's bondage, but you know what to expect. Freedom, you have no idea what's going to happen. Instead of just celebrating the fact that you're free, you're worried about, what do I do now that I am free? It's kind of like somebody that was in prison for a long time, physically in prison for a long time, and they finally get released, and the world has changed so much. And then it's difficult to pretty much, you know, transition back into a normalcy in life. Trying to get employment is difficult. Trying to get people to, I mean, love on you and be embrace you and all. It's difficult and it's hard. So much so sometimes they wish they were just back in because they knew what to expect. Freedom was unfamiliar to them, and that's even in this sense when we're talking this morning. It's unfamiliar to you, so you're insecure emotionally because you don't really know how you're going to function, how you're going to make it free. Think about that now. Free. You're afraid of the memories. You're afraid of the loneliness. You're afraid of missing whatever it is. Think about it. Huh? And that's you call that security, but that's instability because what you call stability or security may actually just be stagnation. You're stuck. Oh my God. You're stuck. Hmm? And you think it's stability. You think it's steady. But everything that feels steady is healthy, though. It's not. Let me move on. Let me move on. Second thing I need you to understand, look, you can miss promises while longing for past seasons. You can. You can miss them. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. There's so many promises that God, man, he's spoken to you. You've heard him. You know him, but you're not going to get it while you're still longing for past stuff. You're not gonna get the newness that God has for you. Just like I told you in the previous series, new necks. You ain't you don't want your new necks. You want God to bless that old stuff that you need to come out of, or bless you in it. And sometimes you feel like you've been blessed in it, and God, yeah, God will. Listen, think about this. Just let me just put this in your hearing right now. You feel that God is you somewhat successful even in the situations that you're in. But now watch this. Just think, because I had this conversation with a preacher friend of mine, and I said, man, just you ever just think how much more God can do for you if you just decide to just fly straight? Because you're gifted, you're talented, you're anointed. But I know sometimes it's hard. We get in our own way. And I just asked the question, you ever just think if you just flew straight, man, the amazing things that God can do and will do. And yeah, he answered, yeah, I know. I know. But it's difficult. It's difficult. I'll leave it at that. But you can miss promises while longing for past seasons. You can. You can. Israel, look, they forgot something important. They remembered food in Egypt, but they forgot the tears in Egypt. Man, come on. I know I'm talking to somebody. They forgot it. That word is that word nostalgia. That's how nostalgia works. That word nostalgia. Because when you see nostalgia can sabotage destiny. It can, and that's how it works. It pretty much nostalgia edits memory. It kind of edits it. It highlights the pleasure, it highlights the good stuff. It does. It puts that to the forefront, but it hides the pain that you felt. It hides the situations that you dealt with that didn't make you feel all that good about where you were, how you were, who you were. It does. And that's why people go back to it. That's why they go back to toxic relationships. That's why they go back to old habits. That's why they go back to unhealthy environments, former mindsets. Listen to what I'm saying. That's why they go back to these things. Huh? Because memory becomes selective when healing is not complete. It just does. You get what they call selective memory if you're not completely healed. And you go back. And that word again, nostalgia. That word again, I got to keep bringing it up. Nostalgia. What happens is, it begins to lead your decisions. And when that happens, that edit button, and you just only focus on the good about it and not the wrong with it or the bad about it, that edit button, it delays your destiny. Delays what you're praying for. What you're wanting to receive from God that you know is wholesome, that's right, that's good for you. And you try and excuse it away. I gotta wean myself off. You gotta wean yourself off nothing. Stop lying to yourself and to other people. It takes time. Okay, you don't know how much time you got. Think about that. I mean, you got to understand, and I just want to say it like this. It, listen, when you're dealing in emotions, your emotional memory ain't always accurate. I just want to say that. Your emotional memory can make the past feel better than it actually was. It does. It does that. And you begin to romanticize stuff like that. You'll begin to sit there and make it so pleasant in your mind. You know what? It wasn't that bad. It wasn't so bad. And maybe it wasn't bad in a sense. Maybe it wasn't bad to you. Maybe it was just bad for you. Mm? Especially if you're longing and wanting more and asking God for more. Your prayers have to align with your actions. They have to. Can't move forward if you keep editing the past to just feel better. That's what you're doing. I know I just said something right there. You keep editing the past to feel better. When you know it stings, you know that it stings, it stinks, all of that, but you keep editing. You scratch out those parts to feel better about it. Mm? And that's what happens. Let me move on. I'm going along. Listen. Last thing I'll tell you. Look, God sometimes disrupt what you settled in, and here it is. Here it is. Discomfort is often divine interruption. Israel called it frustration. That's what they called it. God called it direction. Mm? That's what God called it. They were being led. Listen, what I'm saying. They were being led out of dependency. They were dependent on the past that God delivered them from, but they experienced it as discomfort. That's what they saw it as. It made them uncomfortable. And this is where a lot of us struggle. And I say a lot of us struggle. We assume that it feels uncomfortable, or if it feels uncomfortable, that it must be wrong. You hear me? But God, listen, sometimes, man, God will remove what you rely on. He will. He'll remove it. I said it in the previous episode. Be careful. He'll remove what you rely on. He'll shake whatever you became dependent on. He'll shake it. Man, he'll shake it. Because you're stuck. You're stagnant. And it feels peaceful. It does, until you really realize you're actually limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself from progressing, from going forward, because you're just stuck. You're just stuck. Growth always disrupts comfort. Always. It's never comfortable growing. It never is. And it'll feel like loss before it feels like freedom. It will. You have to understand that, please. Your character is being developed. It's being developed. You're asking God to develop you. When you're asking for change, you're saying, God, I need you to develop me. And God will disturb your comfort to do that. He will. Matter of fact, disruption is often the beginning of transformation. Hear me when I say it. Israel, and I'm done. But Israel, they wanted the comfort of Egypt. That's what they wanted. But God wanted them to be free. Can't exist. Those two things cannot exist. They can't coexist. They can't. So here's the last thing I'll tell you. And I want this to just be embedded in your mind. You listen. Before you clock in, before you get out the car or start on your assignment, whatever it may be, listen, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot walk into freedom while defending comfort zones. You cannot do it. It does not work. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll be riding again on Wednesday. Till then, God bless.